The lesson.
Oh, yeah.
One real interesting thing that you said, that you quoted Ice-T, and he said that you can't be, there's no such thing as a gangster rapper. And this is something that would be very interesting to get your take on, because I guess of your background, the music that you were making earlier on, and now looking at what's happening in the Oz rap thing with the postcode stuff and the drill rap. And, you know, I've always felt that, yeah, you can't talk about, you know, what you're doing if you're living that life. You can't, and dudes have done it. I'm sure some have gotten away with things. Some have had repercussions, but I've heard multiple rappers agree with that notion that you can't have a foot in the streets and have a foot in the studio. You will eventually get fucked over. Now, that's, you know, I can gauge that that's 100% the way that you feel about that. Can you break down, I guess, what your opinion is on what's going on now in Oz rap with the whole postcode thing and the whole drill rap thing? And I always wonder, because I'm not a rapper, but I follow the game, and I just wonder, like, these dudes seem so young. Are they that stupid? Respectfully speaking, or maybe I shouldn't say that, but like, are they that unaware, or are they just lying, and that's how they get away with it? What's your take on that?
I'm gonna put it to you the way I put it to someone the other day. For me personally, and a lot of the boys I grew up with, what I see a lot, and this isn't for everyone that's making music right now, but what I have noticed is hip hop, and I'll say hip hop, right, because I'm a student of the game, just like Sesk, Antar, Gravy, all us boys, right? We come up on hip hop, and that culture's been, I guess, dwindled down to rap music and drill and all that sort of shit. We use music, as what I've just explained for the last, half an hour, to get out of that environment. What I'm noticing now, not all of them, but a lot of people, it's very sad, but a lot of these young kids are using music to actually engage in that environment. So, from what I see is, and it's this cool thing, right? It's cool to be this way, and it's cool that I'm going back and forth to prison, and it's cool. That's what I would see mainly, and we're all searching for an identity and a purpose and to feel good. You know what I mean? Oh man, you know. So my take would be a lot of it's misled youth or people that are trying to fit in and looking for a space to belong. And yeah, you're right, bro. A lot of them, even from our era, a lot of them are lying. A lot of people lie because, you know what? And you can't be mad at that because, you know what I mean? Like I say all the time, we're not here to see who's the biggest earner, who's the toughest guy. We're fucking musicians, right? We're art. We're here to see who makes the best music. If I wanted to be the toughest guy in the world, I wouldn't be a rapper. I'd be the toughest guy in the world. Do you know, like, so I think that hip hop, you know, if you look at what it started with such a positive movement and knowledge and shit, you know, I think that maybe definitely in Sydney for my era and being born in the 90s and coming through how we did, we use music as an escape, to vent, got into music because of pain, to escape that environment. And it was a way out for us, to get away from it. Not just like, oh, it's going to make us millions and get us out, you know what I mean? More just like, for me it was, well, do I spend from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. out in the streets doing what I'm doing, or do I spend it in the studio making a beat or writing a rhyme? You tell me where you'd rather be. Where would my family rather me be? And I think with the kids these days, and young, I guess we'll call them young adults, they just want to fit in, and it's cool. And it's what's cool, it's what's hot right now. You know, like I was saying to Joseph before, we couldn't pay someone money to film us 5-10 years ago. Who's going to come out to Western Sydney and hold a camera for a bunch of gutter rappers that aren't, you know what I mean? One, they're intimidated without knowing us. Two, what do they get out of it? Bit of money, but they want to put their name on it? No fucking way. Now people are jumping at it because it's pop culture. and this is what hip hop brings. That would be my take. As for the postcode stuff, I know with Sydney, like I said, but I got my postcode tatted on me, man. So does Sask. Sure, Enter does. I'm sure Gravy, like we all do. Sure, even Merksy does in Melbourne. And I think maybe it's come over from, I guess, the UK drill stuff. You look at Chicago, in America with that sort of gang culture. In Sydney, Australia, you probably wouldn't have postcodes. Obviously with Underworld and stuff, there's a lot of groups and individuals and clubs and stuff like that, which you would, I guess, entitle as gang wars, stuff like that. But look, to be honest, even when I was younger, you go out, for instance, I'm Penrith boy, so we used to go out and you go to a party, you'd be in St Mary's and some Mountie boys will rock up, and we're both, 27 district, but hey, where you from? I'm from Penrith, I'm from Mountie, boom, you crack on. It was just, and then there was unfortunate events where people will get stabbed and shit, but there was no social media or phones to I guess, encourage it, and taunt people and all that sort of stuff. And it's, I feel like we're probably the last era to sort of, I guess, use music as an escape, and people are sort of using that to try and fit in. Oh, I'm a rapper, you've got to rap about drill, you've got to rap about being from the streets. Like, nah, hip-hop started as they don't know this, hip-hop started as a positive movement. You're talking Public Enemy, you're talking KRS-One, you're talking, like, people forget the fifth element of hip-hop's knowledge. So for me, music was, and hip-hop was, wait a minute, fuck, I wish I'd studied in school more, because I'm a smart dude. And anyone that comes from hip-hop culture, if you look at 50 Cent, Jay-Z, all these major guys, man, they're fucking intelligent beings, right? You know what I mean? And everyone too, even in Sydney, you look at Spaniard, fucking smart dude, bro. Fucking highly, it's funny because, you watch him, people, I laugh because I'm like, fuck, he's a smart man. He knows what he's doing, you know what I mean? Because I'm from the environment. I know what he's talking about, but, I'd say, people like him and ourselves, they come from, I guess that environment and street environment, but we're ones that survive, we're smart, and we actually understand hip-hop culture. And unfortunately, the drill music and all that stuff's gone so far into blowing up, and I'm a rapper, and people just want to fit in, and it's quite sad with all this violence and nonsense that happens, but, it's been happening for years, bro. I honestly think, from my point of view, I feel like I speak probably maybe because there's a lot of infrastructure and a lot of money, and the government spent some money out in Western Sydney the last 5-10 years. I feel like, but in saying that, I'm not involved as much in the environment, but I feel like that the energy has become a bit more positive, especially in Penrith. And, you look at the NRL team, the 1-4 boys killing it, fucking Bam Bam in the UFC. Pat Cummins is the Australian cricket captain. Like, we've got a really good aura out here in Western Sydney, for Penrith, Mount Druitt, Blacktown Borough. I feel like that the environment's improved. It just seems worse because we've got phones and we're filming it. And you hear about it constantly. As I said, we didn't know faces back in the day. You just heard people's names and knew their reputation. But I feel like that what's happened with the drill stuff, which has its positives and negatives, like for me, someone that I can recreate myself as an artist, I go down the neighbourhood now and be like, oh, you listen to this person? I'm like, bro, I'll put them boys on their first show. These boys look up to me, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, you rap? I'm like, so for me, you can either get dirty about it, be like, oh, we set the foundation. For me, I'm grateful that I might be able to make a record that might save a kid's life in fucking somewhere in Australia that wouldn't have heard of me before the drill music scene. So I think the next 5-10 years, I think it's beautiful to see that the positive growth. Obviously, there's a lot of negative shit, and everyone's to blame, right? Everyone like myself, people now speaking about it, rapping, we've all got to hold some type of accordance or responsibility to with great power comes great responsibility. And if you're going to get on a track and you're going to talk about certain things, you've got to be accountable for that shit. So I can't, from my perspective, I can't sit there and be mad at these kids about, what they're talking about, because what I was talking about a couple of years back probably wasn't in the right space. But the difference being, I feel like the pointless violence is really different. Even too, you look back on a couple of the really old Aussie crims and shit. I think I watched a podcast on a guy named Graham Henry, and he used to rock around with Nettie Smith and that, and he was talking life wasn't about being a tough guy, you know, it was about making money. And for me, that really resembled, because anyone that knows me personally, I'm not sort of person to be a tough guy and fucking get away. And you know, I've obviously got a demeanor about me because that's what we build as our form of protection, right? We have to be able to handle ourselves if you're involved in certain things. But I feel like my music was about, if there was violence involved with it, it come with that environment of earning or money making. Where now I feel like, yeah, I sit there, I scratch my head, man, because I'm like, fuck, like, you boys aren't getting any money, like, what, you don't make any money doing that, and shout out to all my brothers that write and stuff like that too, but like, even back in the day, like, you know, graffiti's a massive part of hip-hop culture, and all my mates write, like, bro, like, even these days, fans are like, bro, sign this, bro, whoever gave me my pen license as a kid in Penrith, they must have been high on something, because I can't write, but I have to type letters to the boys when they're in jail. Like, I'm bad. So when I was young and the boys were like, come out for a graph, I was shit, right? Oh, fuck. But the main thing for me was that I wasn't drawn to it, because, well, one, I was shit at it. Two, they're like, oh, just go be a lookout. I'm like, well, we ain't making any fucking money. So it was hard for me to understand graffiti writing. One, because I would never be good enough to make any money from it. I understand, you know, the rush aspects and stuff like that and the adrenaline, but I was sitting there going, well, hang on a minute. These lads over here are getting money, and you're over there fucking snatching shirts, and you know what I mean? For what? So it's really different, you know, and that's, as I said, fucking shout out to all the boys that you know, are part of that culture, but for me, I never had that. So I guess, you know, same with the I guess drill music and the violence. It's like, well, what for? What's the motive behind the, you know, the violence? And
the lesson. 927. Oh yeah.